All right, this is going to be embarrassing if everybody already knows this, but it came as a big surprise to me in the D4 beta. In Diablo 4, you're not supposed to be able to trade legendary items, but strange things happened in the beta. It all started when I decided to check the D2JSP to see what the D4 economy looks like in its early stages. Yeah, people still sell things in the betas. It's a weird community, okay? Due to its rarity and meaningful purpose in D4, I was surprised to see that in-game gold was the most common thing to pop up, for dirt cheap, might I add. But that wasn't the most surprising thing that I saw. I noticed someone selling a legendary item, which I thought was impossible. After closer inspection, I noticed that the picture of the legendary item in that post did not have the words account bound on it. Surely, this is a fake. Or so I thought. I started grinding dungeons and mini-bosses on my level 25 Necro, and sure enough, some monsters would drop legendary items that were not account-bound. Interesting and exciting news for some. At first, I couldn't imagine that this was intended, as I'm not aware of any communication from the devs about legendaries being tradable at all. So naturally, my next question was, what can we do with these? Can we actually trade them? Can we socket them? Do they ever become account bound under any circumstances? I set out to find the answer to these questions. First, can we trade them? The answer is yes. A friend and I were able to pass these back and forth via trade in-game, and were even able to drop them on the ground for each other. Now, I know you may be wondering if that friend and I were in the same dungeon when these were found, or in the same game. We were not. I found them probably 4 hours to us even joining up online, and I was just doing some solo self-finding. And come to find out, he had some of these items as well. These things are seemingly far more common than a butcher spawn in this game, so we began to wonder if this was actually intended. Secondly, it was suggested in the Discord that these items would be bound to your account after you equip them to your character. This turned out not to be true. The legendary items could be worn and then either traded or dropped on the ground for other players to pick up. Next, we tried socketing the items at the jeweler to see if that would make them account bound. I don't believe this action actually makes any item account bound in D4, and the same is true for these special legendary items that we found. The only thing that makes them account bound is when you upgrade them at the blacksmith.
Unexpected.
But as long as they're not upgraded, these things are oddly transferable, and personally, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, some of you might be aware that there are unique items in Diablo 4 and might be wondering if some of these fit that category and are simply just called legendaries. After further research on Reddit, the most credible site of our time, it seems that true uniques can only drop in level 50 areas and should look like the classic unique items that we come to expect in Diablo games. Wind Force, SOJ, etc. So what does this suggest about the D4 economy? I didn't see any of these legendary items actually being sold on JSP, or even with any substantial offers on them. And if you think that's because this is a beta and nobody cares, may I remind you that people were selling D2R beta items on JSP for a considerable amount of forum gold when that was a thing. But this begs the question, what will D4's economy look like when this actually launches? The beta drop rates were a little higher than they're actually going to be in the real game. But does the restriction of trading deter people from using godly rares and these special legendaries when they find them, opting to trade them instead? Is gold the only thing that will have real value in D4? Most importantly, should there even be restricted trade, or should there even be free trade in D4 at all? I think the current drop rates of items, or at least as they were in the beta, players are finding trade to be pointless, which I'm not really sure if that's a good thing. Players could just be focused on other things in this beta, however, much like they were in the closed beta when substantial testing for PvP never really materialized. Y'all should have invited me to that closed beta. We could have griefed all day, baby. But just because I like free trade doesn't necessarily mean it's what's best for this game. But I'm genuinely curious to know what the community thinks. I've started a YouTube poll that I've linked in the description, and I'd encourage you to vote on it and help settle the debate once and for all, and find out exactly where the community stands on this issue. Some of you might be thinking that the people who view this video are biased when voting, so in which case, please share this with people who you know that may or may not agree, and just get the word out there. Perhaps our efforts could provide some guidance to the Diablo IV devs on one of the most difficult debates to settle in the current ARPG era. And encourage them to subscribe while you're at it. Help me hit 100,000 subscribers so I can get that plaque that they give out over at the YouTubes. In all seriousness, that would mean a lot to me, Diablo fans, and I would really appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next video.